zoax.net. Lesson 3. Displaying an image. For this lesson, you will need to create an HTML file and a JavaScript file, like the ones that we created in Lesson 1. As before, we have an HTML file and a JavaScript file that is called from it. The HTML file is the same as it was, except for the file name and this call to the JavaScript file. In this lesson, we demonstrate how to display an image from a file. There are several ways to display an image, but I want to demonstrate how to do it strictly with JavaScript. For our JavaScript file, we have these 3 lines of code. In the first line, we declare a variable called QR_LAST_SUPPER. The Q and R are letters that I use to denote the type, which I will explain in later lessons. The variable's name is Last Supper because it will hold an image of Leonardo da Vinci's painting of the Last Supper. The variable is initialized with a call to the createElement function, using the image type specified by img. If you know HTML, you might recognize img as the designation of an image tag name in an image element. This is exactly what the command creates. If you would like more information on HTML image elements, please see our HTML video on the image tag. JavaScript is closely tied into HTML, and we will mention HTML occasionally in the context of JavaScript. However, it is not necessary to know HTML in order to follow along with our JavaScript lessons. Once the image element is created and assigned to the variable QR_LAST_SUPPER, we need to designate a source file for the image. In the second line, we assign the src, or source property of the element, the file name of the image that we want to load. In this case, it is Last Supper Leonardo da Vinci.jpg. Again, you might recognize src as an image attribute in HTML. This is exactly where it comes from. Let's set this up and look at the correspondence. We have the HTML image element, which corresponds to the JavaScript image element object. The HTML image attribute src corresponds to the JavaScript property src. So these 2 lines of JavaScript correspond to this line of HTML, and either code will create the same image element. So we see that what this JavaScript code is really doing is the equivalent of creating HTML code. In the final line of JavaScript, we place the image element object inside the body where it can be displayed. The body element is designated here in the HTML file. The body element is where all of the content goes that is displayed on an HTML page. So the call to append child puts the image element inside the body element where it will be displayed. So if we save this file and double-click the HTML file, we see the image of Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper displayed. We described what the HTML equivalent of the prior JavaScript code was. The last line is equivalent to placing the HTML inside the body tag. So if we replace the call to our JavaScript file with this line of HTML, save it, and double-click on the file again, we see the image displayed just as before. In this case, the JavaScript is not used. Rather, the HTML equivalent is used to render the image. Again, it is not necessary to understand HTML. However, this replacement demonstrates the relationship between the 2. Changing the HTML back and going to our JavaScript program, we can add this extra line of code to describe the painting. The BR tag moves the output to the next line. So if we double-click the HTML file, then we see the image with a description underneath it. The write function in JavaScript is the same as putting text straight into the body in HTML. So if we want to replicate this with HTML, we can simply paste the text that is passed into the body after the image tag that we had before, and we will get exactly the same thing in HTML. In future lessons, I will not show HTML equivalent code. I only did it here to show the connection. In general, JavaScript is more versatile than HTML, so there's typically no way to replicate most of what happens in JavaScript in HTML. Lastly, the JavaScript code for this lesson is available for download from our website. The code given is only the JavaScript program. However, you can copy the HTML from our lesson page if you wish to do so.